Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast YouTube video interview program that features me talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist slash secular slash awesome community. This is episode number 202, not 102. I recorded this interview on September 30th, 2019. Thank you to the amazing Ren Fairtastic Rakeem Johnson for being on. Episode 100 of the Outer Voices podcast is hot off the presses, and you should check it out. Against my better judgment, I had another member of the Secular Soup podcast on. Aim I was on after I had one Aim Y on last month. We talked about the inappropriate location of breakfast sandwiches, the natural progression of drinking something called vodquila, and leaving Mormonism. Let's start the conversation. Last time I did anything from South Park, I got a copyright strike for Hasadiga Ibawai. So this time I'm going to be saying, Joseph Smith was called a prophet, dum 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 dum. Just, every time I do this, the stupid gong does not do what it's supposed to do. So we're going to do it again. Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast. And you listen to quality podcasts when the person on the show is like, oh yeah, maybe cut that out. And then you don't cut it out because you hear that part. That's my show. So welcome, Amy with an I, and hopefully after this conversation, formerly of Secular Soup.
Oh, that's
Diga I
have a secret though.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So we feuded and broke up like 6 months ago, so you can't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you just have that many shows and
No, we grudgingly talk to each other once a week. But we already despise each other, so it's like you can do your worst.
Okay, and then nobody's ever had a beverage out of this, but I have it.
Nice.
And of course, on the bottom, because I'm special.
Mine has none.
Slurp even this year. Oh, it doesn't? You get one? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we both have ones. We have purple bowls. They're different.
Now, I have a couple of out-of-context quotes, although your show is pretty much all out of context, so...
Yeah, it's not going to do
I don't know if it works. It's definitely not a shaming thing. Some people are like,
honestly, there's not really anything you can say or do that would embarrass either one of us, probably.
Yeah, that's I guess that's a good thing. Yeah. Did you know vaccines cause autism?
Yeah, Jenny McCarthy told me.
And if you put a gun inside a vagina, it would be protected. I don't know if I got the rest. I just got the first part of that quote, so it's close enough.
Oh yeah, because then the government would pay attention to it.
Not anymore. All right, so let's start the show with the hard-hitting questions. So about a month ago, I had an Aim Y on the show.
Yeah. Why can't I tell time zones?
Who calls herself the Superior Amy.
Fair.
And our goal tonight is to get the rest of the story and break up Secular Soup, although apparently you've already done that.
Yeah.
So Aim Y says...
And I can't even say we had a good run because, you've met her.
Never again. Oh, yeah. You're waiting for the good part. So Aim Y says that you got a little drunky wonky at the Skepticon conference. So what's your side of the story?
I was challenged to a drunk off. And
was it a drink? What was it? A vodka tequila combination? Was that something?
Vodquila, but that's not what did me in. It was...
That's not... Wow.
No, it was like Sailor Jerry or something terrible, and I was doing shots with Hertzy Hertz. So, and I didn't realize this at the time, but my fiance was matching me shot for shot and then taking care of me all night. But he's also like 3 times bigger than me, so he actually won the drunk off, not Hertzy.
Yeah, that's the thing about like atheist conferences is like drunk there is like maybe 3 times the legal limit because people just, they've known each other online forever and they get to meet people in person and they're like, well, this could be really bad. So let's just drink a lot. And it starts, on the drive to the location. And then if you are lucky enough to stay at a hotel where your event's happening, you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, everybody just got. And I went with a friend from the show to a liquor store right around the corner, and there was a whole rack of vodquila that was on sale, and so we bought like 2 or 3 bottles of it, and yeah, it was vile, but Maddie's wife loved it, so we sent it home with them. We're like, here you go, take it. So
I figured for beer number 2, perfect to have a Wild Heaven Gravitational Wave.
nice.
Russian Imperial Stout brewed with smoked cocoa nibs and raspberries, because that's how fancy I am.
That sounds good. I'm drinking Walmart brand.
Got the nice color.
Where's my camera? I don't even know my camera.
It's somewhere up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm bad at this. It's Walmart brand bubbly water. Wild cherry.
Well, to you and yours, right?
Yeah, I'm not fancy tonight.
Well, how was your experience at the Skepticon? Even though you might have
good.
been either drunk or hungover?
Both. I drank enough that I took a nice 4-hour nap, and I woke up still drunk but sick. So it was, a fun combination. So yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of people in person that I'd only known online. And that was fun.
Had you been to like an atheist conference before?
Years and years ago, before I was anyone before I had a show or anything, I went to Apostacon in Dallas years and years ago and met Penn and Teller and other people.
That's a good one. So you're in is it undisclosed area of Texas?
I mean, it's been disclosed basically.
But it's like a relatively small town there.
Yeah. I mean, it's undisclosed, but I live near enough to Dallas that I can drive there.
So both you and the other Amy are kind of in smaller towns then?
Yeah.
You're saying there might not be too many other atheists in your area?
I mean, no, probably not. Not a lot. There's more than there used to be, though, because I was at work, people will start talking and just kind of, you get the impression that they're not exactly super religious, which is nice.
It is nice, but was it nice to finally get to meet your co-host in person?
No, she's way worse in person.
Way worse? Wow.
Yeah. Like you get an idea of how awful she is online, and then you meet her in person and she's worse. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's what she said.
I know. I'm sure.
I can't believe your stories matched up, after all this time, the cold light of day or whatever. And now here we are.
Right. It's like the opposite of a halo. Only it's like that discomfort in the pit of your stomach, just constantly in human form.
True.
And she was right down the hall from me. So we got to spend time together the whole time. Because I like to torture myself.
Well, atheist leader or atheist friends break up for the dumbest reasons, like an atheist leader sexually assaulting women. So what happened to you two? Like, what made it work and then what made it not work? Or did it ever really work?
It never really worked.
Were you just faking it with each other?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Trying to get patrons.
Trying to get patrons?
Now we're in a feud.
How many, what is it? How many riches do you have?
I don't know. There's the 122nd rich and then the editor. So I'm not really sure how many we actually have.
The editor, that guy.
We have a couple Nathans, a couple riches.
It got to be a 2, Nathans.
Some ladies thrown in there. Yeah. So
in the chat room, Aim Y asks who your favorite Amy is. Now, I don't know if that's your spelling or her spelling and Tori spelling, whatever, a certain spelling.
Fair. It's fair.
It's fair.
It's a fair question. Go ahead and answer it.
Wasn't there an Amy with a Y who killed her kids a while back and said God told her to do it? I don't know. Maybe that's somebody else. I'm sure if you look it up, if you Google Amy with a Y killing her kids,
someone killed her kids in Houston a couple of years ago. She had 5 kids.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if her name was Amy though, and my phone's across the room, so I don't know. I feel helpless without it.
So there was a cat picture under your hotel door? I'm just getting my questions now from the chat room.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I came home one day, and from not home, I came to the hotel room one day after an event or, whatever. I didn't actually go to any of the speakers except for Callie. And I saw a couple of things that Callie did because, Callie's amazing. And then, so I came back to the hotel room and I opened the door and there's a picture of Amy's fucking cat underneath my door. So I gave it to Don Ford because, that's what you do with a cat picture. I was going to stick it under Ari's door, but they were leaving when I was walking by. And so I just played it off. I was like, hey, I was going to give you this. And now I'm not. So
now I'm not.
Yeah.
The surprise is over.
They didn't seem very disappointed that I wasn't going to shove a cat picture in the door.
Yeah, I don't know if Ari's much of a cat person. It's hard to say.
Not sure. We didn't broach that subject.
Mine. When you're doing shots, you can't get that personal, right? I mean, come on.
I actually did not meet Ari until Skepticon, or right before Skepticon. So I was already drunk by then.
You don't say. So how long did it take to go from zero to so you arrived at the did you drive up?
We drove about 10 and a half hours.
My goodness. No wonder you wanted to drink.
And I didn't work, or I didn't take the day off. So I worked from 7 a.m. until the end of my shift. And then we came home, had my kids for dinner because I couldn't keep them overnight that day. We had them over for dinner, and then I took them back to their dad's house, took a power nap, packed the suitcases, the last minute things, and then drove. We left about midnight, and we drove straight through and got there about 8 or 9 in the morning. Something like that, maybe a little later.
Well, you do know, being an atheist, saying having your kids for dinner has a totally different meaning. So I just want to check that they're still around, or if they were just.
I have teenage boys. It's always hit or miss.
Yeah, I don't think the flavor profile would work out. So yeah, just
it's like that sweat sock feet smell.
I bet.
Like Frito pie. So
well,
with like there's a bird in the house somewhere, but you don't have a bird.
It's died in the air conditioning vent or something. Somewhere. It's been sitting there for a while.
Yeah. Something like that.
Well, it's a good opportunity to transition into unexplained smells.
Sure.
So, in your last episode, AMY mentioned a smell in the car. So, what happened there?
So gross. So we were driving up. Gentleman caller and I were like, something in this car really smells, and so we pulled over to a gas station and we searched the whole car. And we couldn't find anything. We'd vacuumed it out and we'd kind of thrown away all the trash that was in there because maybe there was some rogue thing in a bag in the glove compartment or whatever. And so we threw away everything. And so we just kept driving. We're like, we couldn't tell if it was less or more, if it was just lingering. You can't really tell with smell sometimes. And we'd kind of grown nose blind to it. So we're like, I guess we'll just drive and we'll figure it out. So we get there and we park it in the parking garage in St. Louis, and it was balmy. It was just warm and humid. And then we went inside and this was Friday night. And then I believe it was, Friday morning. Then Friday night we went to John Willis's for dinner, and Amy got in our car, and it was 20 times worse. So it had grown while we were in the hotel, and we were like, I don't even know. It's unexplainable. We don't know where it's coming from. I was so embarrassed because it was this living, it was a second or another being in the car, the smell. And so we get there, we go to his house, and we get back in the car. I was like, oh, I forgot how bad it smelled. And, we did it again. We pulled over, we searched the whole car on the way home. We couldn't find it. And then a week later, we found that one of the kids had shoved a breakfast sandwich they'd taken one bite out of down inside the passenger side door in the back, way in the back of the car. And so we missed it every time we did a search because it wasn't in the part where you stuff things. It was in the door handle, but not the part that opens. I can't even explain it. It was easy. It was easy to miss, and it was gross.
Is there any coming back from that? Sometimes car gets a smell, it's hard to defeat that. I think there's a Seinfeld episode about that.
Yeah, it's not my car, so I don't care.
Oh, well.
There you go.
That worked out.
My car smells just fine.
So do you think, all things considered, you will go back to Skepticon and, I don't know, do you have any advice for people, like first-time atheist conference, how to act?
It's a really fun one. Don't look Hertzie directly in the eye, or she will challenge you to a drinking contest. Also, everybody's just really cool at that one. It seems like it was really chill. It was very cool. The speakers were good. Everybody just had a good time. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I think we had a discussion when AIM-Y was on about like kind of conference theory. Like there are people who go to conferences and just kind of hang out with people because these are people you've probably met online, but on person. Like, and then there are people who are like, no, we have to see the speakers.
Right. It's like two different types of people that go to conferences.
And they get mad if they miss one. Or,
right. Well, that's how
like, there's two people they want to see at the same time. No.
Right. Well, when I was at PastaCon years and years ago, that's how I was. I had the entire itinerary. We got, VIP specialty backstage passes, and I had like dinner with Penn and Teller, and I did all of these special things, and I went to every single speaker that I could, and I had there's all these lunches that you can have with all of the hosts and all of the speakers. And this one I was like, I don't care. I just want to meet my friends. I just want to hang out with people. So go to the liquor store and buy garbage.
And get somebody else drunk. I know I bought some kind of like peanut butter porter that had Jesus in the name, but it wasn't, didn't live up to it.
It sounds terrible.
It's no Even More Jesus, which was the first beer I had in a podcast.
Very terrible. How? I'm not sure. I'm trying to twist my laptop and get it right. And I have a webcam. It's just not, I don't know where it is. Oh. So it's just my laptop one right now.
I see you. You're right. You're right there. You're doing just fine.
Okay, good.
I don't remember like the first time when I think I had both of you on. Did we talk any about kind of your religious background? Because you have that Mormon thing. That's why I did the Hasadiga Ibawai. And do you ever explain Hasadiga Ibawai to former Mormon people, or is it probably not a good idea? They probably hear it a lot, just because it's a cultural thing almost.
At this point, yeah. You don't really. So former Mormons go through these stages where they want to talk about it all the time. They want to talk about the damage and things they learned and the cultural things that are, South Park and stuff like that. And then you get to this point where you're just like, like you don't anymore.
I mean, so you were raised in this religion. Yeah. Did you, was it like the age where you're like, okay, I'm done. And then when were you really done? Because usually people like think that, and then it's like a decade.
Didn't really transition out. It took me 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. A long one.
It was a hard, long 45 minutes. And I know the exact time because it was during a humanities class in college. It was about probably my sophomore year. And so I walked in fully Mormon, and something she said triggered something. And I've told the story a lot. I don't know if I want to tell the whole story, but she just kind of triggered something inside of me, and it just the thought process. And by the time I'd walked out, I'd realized that it was all just a house of cards and it was all bullshit. And I walked out mostly atheist, but I was calling myself agnostic for about 6 more months. So.
But did you have a really religious family, and was that a difficult situation to deal with?
Yeah, it wasn't really fun. And I was married to a Mormon man, married in the temple, had Mormon children. 2 of them were baptized at the time because they were over 8. So, yeah, that was fun. It took me probably a good 6 weeks or so before I even told him where I stood. And he took it in stride mostly. But he still took the kids to church with him for about 4 to 5 months without me. And then I kept giving him podcasts to listen to and things to read and trying to plant those seeds of doubt. And eventually he loved the church also, which was good. So that was nice. So, but I like to tell people when they ask me if I was ever Mormon, I tell them I was Mormon once for about 33 years. So
give or take, yeah.
Yeah, give or take.
I don't know. Joseph Smith even lived that long? I don't remember the exact. He wasn't that old when he died. I mean, I feel like he's 40s, maybe.
I mean, I know I'm older than Jesus. I think Joseph Smith died at around the same age because they tried to make him into like a deity. So I'm pretty sure that it's around the same age, miraculously. But I don't know that off the top of my head. I know he wasn't old.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how it went with a spouse who was a believer, because I had like one of like 3 guests I've had who've been believers. They did a podcast for a little while called Unequally Yoked, and the guy had left Mormonism, but the wife was in. Like she was all in. Nothing was gonna get her out of that. And I don't know
happens fairly often.
But it's a tough one.
There's a lot of support groups for both partners. So in my case, we did leave together, and then we went through, the whole losing your faith and figuring out your life and your family and all of your dynamics and everything on the other side of religion. Because on inside of religion, that's just, especially Mormonism and other fundamental religions, where you get married so young and you're just told that this is who you are and what you're supposed to be. You just kind of, this is it. But on the other side of it, outside of religion, when you actually are allowed to use your own brain, you realize that you don't necessarily match with the person that you just ended up with, especially when you get married so fast and you're so young. So then we had this whole, on the other side, then we had this, this is not who I would have chosen,
It's like, we both got out of religion now. Yeah. Ooh, wait a second. Now what?
Right. Because we were like, I was 19 and he was 22. So we were babies. And that's kind
of like the Mormon.
About 3 months.
Like, isn't that the way they want it? Because don't the guys go on the mission for like, is it 2 years? I think they've actually shrunk that.
They go for, I think, 18 months now. But they leave at 18. They used to leave at 19, but then they leave at 18. And so when they come back, they're just expected to get married and start having babies. So, which is terrible. It's terrible. So.
But was it tough? This is something as a kid having an ever believer. Is it tough with kids? Like, do they hold on to the religion, or they kind of let it go like you did?
Well, my youngest was really young, which was good. She was like 3. So she didn't really notice. She just said, I miss going there and playing with toys. I'm like, look, you have toys here. You're good.
There you go.
Cool. My older boys, one was 12 and one was, I think, 8 or 9, somewhere around there. And the oldest had some trouble letting go. Because I left right as he was supposed to receive the priesthood, which is, it's the power from God. Just, I don't know how else to say that.
For boys,
that they get it at 12.
What's the age? Okay.
12. And so at 12 years old, he would have more power than me. And so I forbade him from getting it because I didn't think that was a fair thing to give a child more power. And, he had more rights than his own mother. Like the thing is, if the father is gone, the 12-year-old and older son takes over. When I'm right there, it didn't seem very level. So,
well, when you see how Mormons treat women, and then you get in the atheist community and see how atheists treat women, do you like, maybe I could go back?
No.
Or are you like, no, you're done?
Never.
You're good?
And so I had to point it out a lot because my ex didn't see it either. I was like, hey, women are treated very poorly in the Mormon church. And he was like, what are you talking about? And so I started listing all of these things and talking about all of the inequalities and how I never had any kind of equal footing. And it wasn't until I pointed it out that he's like, oh yeah, that wouldn't be cool. I'm like, yeah, that's been my entire life. That, when we were in Young Women, the young women would learn about how to cook, how to clean, how to sew, and the boys would be shooting guns or fixing cars or playing basketball. And we're just trying to become wives. It's not very cool.
Do they still sell The Planet, and do they say, hey, the multiple wives, we just let that go?
No, I haven't been a part of it for a long time, but they're still, that's the celestial kingdom is the planet, and everybody gets their own place to be. If you're a male, the women just have to be their concubines, basically. I was real mad that I didn't get my own planet.
But this is the part that I don't remember because I have a lot of former Mormons on, but
right.
Doesn't the husband get like a special name and the wife gets a special name, but the husband gets to know the name, but the wife doesn't?
Right. Yes.
Some kind of like secret. Did he have a secret name, and did he ever tell you what that was?
Yeah, he did. Eventually, after we'd left. But then he didn't remember mine. So I told him mine, and then he didn't remember it.
Didn't remember? Oh.
Right.
Wow.
And so I was asking him, like, who would you have been calling up in heaven if you didn't even remember my name? You would have just ended up with some other wife. Which at this point, I mean, go for it.
Yeah, it sometimes sounds like a reason to make an excuse to be mad, but gosh, do you still have the special underwear, or is that just a guy thing? I can't remember.
No, it's women too, and they're terrible.
Terrible. I mean, it's like a whole bodysuit, I think.
Well, it's like
pretty. It covers a lot.
It's like long shorts, like just below the knee, and cap sleeved tops. And but for guys, it's basically just an undershirt and boxers. But for women, it's so different than underwear. Like, that's not what women wear under their clothes. So it interferes with a lot of fashion.
Yeah, it just seems like it would be very uncomfortable, especially in Texas, which is a
Summer.
little warmer.
Yeah.
Summer.
Or if you're pregnant and you're wearing them, or if you're nursing a baby, and they have nursing ones, but they're just like two flaps that just kind of stick together. And so when you're driving, just hypothetically, you'll be driving with kids in the car and just, flies open, like pops open. And so you have just like a bunch coming up, and that's fun too. So you have to like try to fix your flap as you're driving. It's the whole thing.
Do you miss anything about being a Mormon?
No. I don't actually. I like knowing everything and having all the answers just handed to me. It was the absolute comfort in that. Just knowing that if there's a question, I already knew the answer. It's a comforting. I know it's a hollow comfort, but it's very comforting to just know everything. Now I know nothing.
Now I know nothing.
Yeah.
But at least you admit it now, right?
I mean, yeah. So.
Well, I do a ton of research for the show, so I listened to like one episode of your show, and in your latest,
that's basically all they are.
The latest episode, the one thing I failed to cover with Aim Y is
sorry, I didn't mean to disappear.
her health issues. So I hear you have back issues. So what's happening with that, and why is it important to cover like opioids when you have skin or back in the game?
Well, because they're awesome.
Because they're awesome.
Yeah, I was in a car accident in April, so my back and my shoulder kind of messed up. So, but they're just writing me basically Motrin. And, I don't talk about my job very much, but I'm a coal miner. So I have to use my back a lot, because coal mining is big.
Thank you, Trump, right?
Right. Well, because coal mining is big in Texas, especially in Dallas. So, no, I'm not. But, yeah, it just hurts, and I would like I would like better drugs. I don't know if that's what we talked about.
Is there a long-term like solution here, or they say, oh, this is something that's going to bother you for a long time?
Well, it's very painful and debilitating. I'm probably going to have shoulder surgery at some point. But it's okay, because it's okay. I'm not going to go into details, but it's okay because it was not my fault at all. So it's covered. It's what I'm saying. It's all covered. Like it's not hurting me at all. I mean, besides pain.
Covered as long as you're like employed by your current company?
No, it was from the car accident.
Oh, it's because of the insurance thing?
Right. And I was not at fault. I was zero at fault. So like I was literally in a drive-through in park. So
well, that's kind of shitty thing to happen. I mean,
I know, it really was. Totaled my Jeep.
But I mean, in the episode, there was a discussion. I can't remember. It was like a law that had passed. Maybe it was in Minnesota, where like the doctor you had to like visit your doctor and get every time they gave you a new prescription, which is usually, I think it's 30 days. I know I get some for 90, but it depends on I think with the stronger opioid type stuff, they don't just write you a script for 100 pills anymore.
You have to go in and get the doctor's visit, which is the copay. And then some of them, the doctor's office on the back end, they have to get a PA to get special permission, essentially, to even have the pharmacist or the pharmacy release it to you. So, and then the pharmacy will call the doctor's office and they'll ask if you gave that permission. And then you'll get your pills. So all coal miners know the inner workings of a doctor's office.
Yeah, I bet. But you don't take anything now?
No,
prescription stuff?
I wish. I mean, I take whatever.
Does it cover everything? Like
the pills and stuff?
Do you still have pain that isn't taken care of?
Oh, yeah. Comfort? Yeah, all the time. I go to physical therapy 3 times a week right now, and I keep getting pain shots, and it's not touching it. They keep doing more MRIs, more scans. They're just trying to figure out where exactly the damage is. It's fun.
Well, that stinks. I mean, I had like a back surgery 18 years ago, and I have to take gabapentin because I have nerve damage.
Yeah, nerve damage.
And it's pretty permanent. And every few, I don't want to take it every day, and then I like wake up with these crazy zaps in my foot, and it's very, very minor compared to what other people have.
Yeah, well, the nerve damage it's not fun at all. And it's not reversible. That's the problem.
Well, they tell you it might grow back, but it's been like a year.
Odds
and if it hasn't, it probably won't. And you're like, oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, I have like a weird pinpointy nerve weird spot in the middle of my thigh. I'm like, okay. And they were like, yeah, that's from your back. I'm like, cool.
Cool. Thanks.
I was like, what do we do about it? And they're like, watch it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Watch it. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at it, and that's it.
Like, that's fun. So.
Well, can you vagsplain to me the concept of vagsplaining? I don't know if Amy with a Y got to that in our show, because she's
terrible.
She's terrible, but she's the best, right?
No, she's just terrible.
No? Okay.
She talks about drugs a lot.
She's already asleep, probably.
Yeah, it is 7:45 in human time. So vagsplaining is when someone who is solidly an expert on something explains to someone with a smaller man brain what is going on and the details of everything, the facts and details, in a way that's broken down into small palatable pieces so they can comprehend it. Do I need to say it again?
Slower for the man.
Okay.
For the man brain.
Okay. I knew that's where you were going when you were.
I'm just wondering, because guys are clearly better, because look at our world. It's so awesome and everything's great, especially in America. It's like we got the best leader. We're all set. I'm not
complaining about that. I'm pretty solidly pro-Trump. So.
Pretty solidly pro-Trump.
Yeah. I say that at work, and everybody looks at me like I'm crazy.
So, yeah, and you have the wife still awake. How about that?
Weird.
Weird.
Past her bedtime.
I mean, do you ever get a feeling on your show that you don't get to say your piece because she's always talking all the time, or you feel like you both get to say what you want?
Yeah, I just say it anyway. So usually we just talk, but it's better if we have a guest on, because then we just talk over the guest and they never get to speak. That's my favorite, is when we have someone like Eli Bosnick or something on our show, and then they don't get a word in edgewise. And then we can brag that we had Eli Bosnick on our show, but we really didn't. So
I heard him say like a whole 2/3 of a sentence, so I feel like it's a win.
He brought up toaster porn. That's all he really needed.
Oh yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, the toaster. Toaster, yeah.
Pretty much all he needed to say, and then we're like, Eli Bosnick, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, why is it that his porn search history comes up in every single Puzzle in a Thunderstorm podcast? It's very odd.
We're not Puzzle in a Thunderstorm. We're Delightful Bitchcraft.
Delightful Bitchcraft.
We are a separate entity altogether.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And have you officially gotten to take down Cogdis, or are you still working on that?
No, they won't message us back. It's very upsetting. We gave them wedding presents and everything, and no. We were in St. Louis. Chicago's not far, and they didn't even bother to get in there. I don't know what kind of vehicles they have, probably mopeds, and drive down to St. Louis. I don't know.
They have probably a minimum, and those guys get like envelopes of cash handed to them. I'm pretty sure that's what happened when they're at ReasonCon.
Gross.
Back in the day.
Gross.
Exactly.
No one handed me an envelope of cash. I mean, they did, but not for that.
Yeah, no. I can't talk about that yet. No, it's not there. So what's the deal with you and forks? Apparently you keep a drawer full of them at work.
Oh, yeah. I don't have.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have many forks anymore. I have straws. I have a lot of straws in my drawer at work. So I love straws. It's a bad thing. I have a straw right now. I have a problem with straws. So I have.
Bad for the environment. It's like the worst thing.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I actually have been pricing those metal ones, but just the thought of those little things cleaning them and how clean they'll actually get, I'm just. There's way too much thought going into that. So right now I just have bendy straws, which are terrible, and they're going to end up in turtles' noses. I know it.
Well, you have the secular soup bowls. Will you ever transition into secular soup sporks? Is that the next level? That's good.
We tried at one point to make wine glasses from the wine I have drank.
Pre-used? Is that what it is?
Well, you can cut them and make them into like wine glasses, and then we could write, terrible things on them. But I could not get not one to cut. And I tried everything. I watched every YouTube video, and we were sitting there cutting them like late into the night. We were just doing it over and over and over again. And you just like ice bath and hot water and all these different methods, and nothing. It just never worked. They didn't even like crack a little. It was just, and then we were even etching it. I had the wine glass cutter and it wasn't working. So.
Yeah, I feel like if you really want to get into like a serious podcast fight, you want to go to a conference, get your glass, smash it into the thing and go after them, right?
Smart.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So if they're ignoring you, do you have to like find another podcast to take down?
No, it means we won.
It means you won. Well, I mean, obviously
it means
won.
They're too scared to respond because they know that we outmatch them in every way. So, I mean, we obviously outwit them. Obviously. So.
Well, clearly, I mean, the thing is with cognitive dissonance, they're still doing like this entire show, but with secular soup, I feel like you're pulling the whole Tom Sawyer like paint the fence move. So you're getting people to do your closing for you.
Right.
Is the goal eventually to get people to do the entire podcast for you?
Well, no.
And then you get your Patreon money, and then other people do the whole show for you?
We really like talking, so no one's ever going to do the meat of the show for us. Just the beginning and the end, and maybe ads.
Like pre-written?
Or we do things like this where we do a show, and then we just take the audio and make this our episode. So then we don't have to record a show 1 week because it's already done.
Well, is this the plan? Like I always hear people say that Trump's doing this 4D chess thing when he's just really dumb. But I feel like too, you've got some intellect going on, because when the last time I talked to Amy, she's like, "Hey, can you send the audio to Rich so he can edit for you?" And I have a feeling this might happen again. And it's like,
Oh,
you guys are like 2 weeks out of a month already done, and you have all this big time Patreon cash. Where I'm.
Oh yeah, we're rolling in it.
So if you do the per month, I do like the per episode, but then again, I don't post that many episodes, sadly. So you probably end up ahead.
How much we make per month? I keep the
like how many straws can you buy per month?
I don't know. I just buy the big pack, so it takes a couple months to get through.
Do you hear that, people? Secular listeners, she buys the big pack thanks to you.
Yeah,
she can't go to Canada and get any like real good opioids, but she can get some freaking straws.
This is actually a gift from a gentleman caller. He went in a grocery store one day to get something, and he came out and he had like this massive pack of straws, and I was so excited. It was ridiculous.
So what's the deal? So we have this gentleman caller. Is this just a anonymous?
Yeah, it's just some dude.
Show person. Just some dude.
Yeah. He's pretty great. So.
Is that the dude in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Met him on Tinder.
Tinder, huh?
As you do.
So was it swipe up, down? How's it go?
Oh, I swiped right, and then it was a match. So he likes to point out that means he swiped right on me first. So
there you go. So he's definitely a Mormon, right?
No. He actually. So we didn't realize it until the night before our first date, because we talked, online for about a week, and then I had this rule that I wouldn't meet anyone in person until I talked to them on the phone, because you have time when you're chatting to think about what you're going to say, and I want to know how people are going to respond on the fly, because I'm not someone who I don't speak slowly, and I want someone who can kind of keep up with me. And I want someone who's going to keep up with me, and I'm not going to be bored with, or if I tell a joke, they actually know it's a joke and don't take me seriously when I say that I love Trump or something, or believe me. I don't care if they believe me. I don't know. So I talked to him on the phone, and he just kind of mentioned that he was from a large family, and then said, "Oh, it's because I was raised Mormon." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was raised Mormon." And so I got all excited, because there's so many ex-Mormon support groups and Facebook groups and a lot of social things that you do when you first leave the church. That's like the people you hang out with. And I didn't meet him anywhere in those, because he'd left years before. And so I like to joke around that I met him in the wild. Like, I found an ex-Mormon just free range. So it's kind of fun. So.
Does it help to have that kind of shared history in a way?
It does, actually, because then
Was he 33 years in, or not as long?
Like 15. I know.
It's like a teenager. Come on.
Not even get the real experience.
I have no idea who intellect versus ego is, but quality work in the chat room there.
I can't see it. Should I be able to see it? I don't know.
I have no idea. I'm glad I can, but yeah, usually, the YouTube version, the guest could.
Oh, I can see it. That's right. I realized that I was on private chat, but I realized if I hit live comments, I can see the comments. We do make $7,000 an episode. Amy says so. Right. And I was going to tell you that I keep all of my calculations in my Bentley, so it's in my other car.
Less smelly car. It's not your car.
So.
I mean, I feel like "She Jerks It to Trump" should be an episode title for you down the road.
I have no idea who that person is.
I usually have the same people in the chat room, and we get some outsiders tonight, and that works.
Okay, I know who it is.
Because he hasn't showed up because he's an asshole. Anyway.
There you go. He told me who it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
It's my friend.
It's my friend. Okay. Super friend. So you really don't have like the secret talent or joke or anything, or
I have my favorite joke.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so my favorite joke is, where do you find a turtle with no legs?
Where do you?
Right where you left it.
That's a good point. Or in the Senate, based on how things go. Yeah. Political joke, nailing it, crushing it. So your show, okay, so you're broken up, but you're having like breakup show sex or just talking, which is better.
I feel sorry for you then. It's better.
Sorry for me? Oh,
well, yeah. I mean, if talking is
I have to bring on guests so they can talk while I drink. I mean, it's basically my show. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. She's
upset that I have other friends, but we're not even friends. She and I are.
Well, exactly. Why would you want to be friends? I mean, that's you do a show together. It's like it's just strictly business, you know?
Right.
All there is to it.
Like sex.
Yeah, you know, if that's how you do it, that's how you do it.
Well, you said talking was okay.
When you're, when you're former Mormon, it's all about that.
Right.
It's all about. Wait, I got this crazy underwear. How do I move it aside? I don't know. It's just not happening.
So I had this weird. When I went to the temple, I actually was told that it wasn't allowed to ever touch the floor, which sounded really nice, like you're cherishing something, you're taking care of it. But in reality, that doesn't work at all. Like that's not real life. So what I would do is I would put like a shirt down and then put it on top of the shirt when I was doing laundry to make sure it wasn't touching the floor, but it was on the floor. So it was just one of those little loophole things. So
did you do the thing where you actually like reached out and said, "Hey, I'm out," or are you just like, "Nah, it's not worth it"? Because like getting off the book sounds like you have to do some serious efforts.
Well, every time I do one of these shows, I hope someone will see it and excommunicate me. I'm still on all the books. I would really
like excommunicating people because
no,
they like adding people. They're like, hey, all the people who died in the Holocaust, they're totally Mormon now. That's not insensitive.
Even after someone quits the church, they still count their numbers. So their numbers are grossly inflated. But I want someone to look me in the eye. I want some man to look me in the eye and tell me why I'm not worthy of their heaven. I think that would be that would be good.
Probably because of breakfast sandwiches. Oh yeah, call back. Hey. So how do people find Secular Soup? Because this show is awful, but Secular Soup is great. So
I would guess Google.
Guess Google. You make it easy. You're like, no, just yeah.
I mean, Google
if you spell it. If you can't spell it, you'll probably get it.
Just type the little. So all phones have like the little microphone thing. You can just type it and say it if you can't type it. So, but both words are easy to say or spell. So, but yeah, we're on every podcatcher. We're on Stitcher, SoundCloud. I don't know. We also have a YouTube channel which has all our audio on it and some videos.
So. There you go. That's where you find all the glory.
Yep.
Broken up, but not really. So I guess we didn't succeed in breaking up your podcast. It already happened. It already
happened. And
you're living in like multiple universes at once where it's happened. It didn't happen.
She got tired of living in my shadow, which I get. I understand that. Mm-hmm. So I just I had to let her gracefully
leave. By not leaving.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Well,
I also said it because she's not there right now.
Well, thank you, Amy, for being on. Amy, I can't say the name correctly.
That's my name. Yeah.
But thanks for being on. And it only took a month to figure out time zones, which I think is that's about right.
Okay, so I'm relatively smart in a lot of things, but for some reason, time zone math baffles me. Like it just baffles me. So
I'm pretty sure we were about like 30 seconds from the end of the show. We were like, I can get it in a minute. And we're like,
I'm almost there.
Yeah, no.
You guys were done. You were wrapping up. You're like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I feel like every time I've had like two hosts of a show who like aren't in the same studio, there's a pretty good chance one's not showing up for one reason, just because.
Well, and I was the one that said that day worked. Because when you guys like, oh, Wednesday or Thursday, and I was like, Thursday's great. And then I had physical therapy, and then I had my kids, and then I had something else come up, and I was like rushing home, and I got home just in time. I'm like, I'm here. And you're like, yeah, that was an hour ago. I'm like, oh. Damn.
I feel like either your priorities are great or terrible, but we'll let the audience decide. So thanks again, Amy, for being on. People can find the show. Everything will be on the show notes.
Or go to our website, Delightful Bitchcraft, and it's all there.
It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds perfect. So we will say good night, and again, Hasa Diga Iwai to all ya.
Exactly.
Oh. Please don't give me another copyright strike for this. Please don't. And I believe in 1978 God changed his mind about black people. Black people. Live read. For a change. For something completely different. Let's talk about something awesome. Next weekend, if you're in Chicago, you should totally check out the Women of Color Beyond Belief Conference. Nobody will be talking about motherfucking David Silverman there. Go to wocbeyondbelief.com and get thee there. If you want to support this show, be like Bobby, Hugh, Teote, Larry, Daryl, and the other Daryl, Freethinker 215, Alan, Marks, and Chris, and support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/Zachrilege. If you like cat videos, and if you don't, you'll get them. Follow me on Twitter, like my Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook, and send all mail to zachrilege.cast@gmail.com. Always looking for interesting guests who don't hate women. Thank you to Aim I for being on tonight. I will be on Podunk Polymath again this week on Wednesday night because I still have too much beer and my liver is bad and must be punished. And we'll talk about SJW bullshit because hail Christ. I do not currently have planned guests, but I'm sure after having people on from one podcast the past month, there will be a line at my door. Or the South Park dudes suing me for singing their songs. Until next time, let's continue the conversation.